Welcome to Saturday Morning Basics class with Sandy and Kent. And I want to thank everybody for showing up this morning and for Kent for agreeing to be outside in the humidity doing yoga. As always, if you'd like our picture to be the bigger one so that you can see what's going on if I'm being unclear with my directions, remember just to pin that video by going up to the corner, finding the three little buttons, pulling down that drop-down menu, and clicking pin, and that'll make us the big one. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask those questions, or if the audio or video gets funky, let me know, okay? Don't suffer through it. And we'll see if we can troubleshoot that for you. All right. So this morning, we're actually going to start out a little bit differently. And I do want to make certain that for this class, everyone has either, I'd like everyone to have some sort of a strap, and everyone has either 2 blocks or a blanket or some pillows. And you are going to need those right away. So if you don't have them, I'd like you to go get them. We're going to start and end with those props. So if you are using preferred method, the 2 blocks, then I would like you to set those blocks up in almost a T pattern on your mat. So 1 block will be in the center, and with maybe a couple of inches of space in between, you'll do 1 vertically and 1 horizontally. Now, this vertical block is going to go right underneath your spine. If you have a mobile spine and you want more lift in this supported fish pose, turn it the high way. I was playing with that this morning. I haven't done fish in a while, and that just felt too crunchy to me. So lay those down. Get comfortable with the idea that in order to get comfortable in this pose, you're going to have to fidget with your blocks. And I really want you to get comfortable because we're going to spend a few minutes here as we center on these. So as you get your blocks set up, if you don't have blocks, you can either take a blanket, roll that blanket, and this will be your choice. You can just roll the blanket so it lays under your shoulder blades, or you can lay it the long way underneath your back, underneath your spine. Hang on just a second. Kent's asking me where the blocks go. If you're using pillows, same thing as the blanket. They can either go under your shoulder blades or they can go under your spine. Now the first block is going to, we want that to hit right underneath the bottom edge of the shoulder blades. If it's too far down, it's going to hurt your back. The top block is designed to support your head. So we want it to go right underneath the base of the head. And if, like me, you have a ponytail this morning, that might get tricky. So you have to play around with the ponytail and with the blocks. Now, once you get those blocks comfortable, this is kind of like going on vacation. You think, is it worth the effort, right? But once you get there, it's always worth the effort, more generally. So once you get your blocks situated, and again, if your back is more flexible and you want a deeper version, feel free to turn your block up 1 notch. What that will do, though, is cause your neck to be much more elongated and stretched out. So make certain that you've got some sort of a support underneath the back of the head, lifting you up a bit so that we don't cause any dizziness or nausea here. Once you've got that comfortable, check in now with your hips. Let's start at the base of the body. You can take the feet as wide apart as the mat and let the knees come in on each other, holding each other propped there. And if that feels better for your low back, feel free to take this. If you'd like more of a stretch across the front body, then extend your legs out towards the separate corners of your mat, away from your body. And then let the feet fall out easily to the side. Check in to make certain that the ribs feel okay here with the support underneath them, and fidget a bit here if you don't have that block or that blanket in the right place. And then with the shoulders stretched out and long on the blocks, so you're trying to feel the shoulder blades on either side of the block, externally rotate the upper arms and let the palms fall skyward. We want the arms away from the body here. Our goal is to stretch the intercostal muscles, those muscles in between the ribs in the rib cage. Those muscles assist us in a lot of things, but here we're focusing in on their assisting action in the breathing in our body. And when we open up here, hopefully you're starting to feel the ribs Feel nice and open and wide and expansive. Imagine trying to press the left rib cage and the right rib cage evenly down into or towards the blocks or the floor. Your blocks you want to have situated so that if any of it sticks out, it's your shoulders are able to rise above, and your shoulders can freely float out to the sides and above the blocks. My left hand is a little out of position because otherwise I'd have my hand on top of Kent's face and he probably wouldn't appreciate that. Let your breath deepen here. We worked on setting the body up. So now let's play a little bit with the mind. We're at the lake, so I'm going to use that vision. Bring a big body of water like a lake or an ocean to your mind. And then imagine that your thoughts are like waves on that water. Are your waves, are your thoughts scattered, strong, big, like a storm on the water? If they are, as you breathe, can you use that? Think of blowing a breath of water across the air, blowing a breath of air across the water. I said that backwards. In order to smooth it out. Deepen your breath and make it come easily and evenly in and out. And imagine each of those breaths calming that water, calming those thoughts. Notice if your tongue is stuck up in the roof of your mouth, pushing anywhere. If so, release it and let it float or let it curl in easily. Notice if your forehead is furrowed. And if so, as you breathe that calmness into the mind, can you smooth the forehead out? Our goal here in the body is opening up, just finding complete relaxation. Take at least 5 more deep breaths here. With your next inhale, if your legs are stretched out, bend the knees and bring the soles of the feet to standing on your mat. You can walk the feet so they're in line with the hip bones, and then gently roll off to your right side. We'll all meet there, just coming into a bit of a fetal position, drawing the knees up close to the elbows, curling in and matching that fetal position. Just let the back reset a little bit here. Now try to work the breath into the back body. So the front body is kind of flushed in. So deeply. 2 more breaths that way. Open that ribcage with each breath. And drawing your left hand or your top hand, if you rolled the other way, and your top leg stretching out, push up, finding an easy seated position. Beautiful. Now draw your blocks or your blanket so that they're in a straight line on your mat, and you've got plenty of support here. All right. Bringing those blocks in, set your sit bones on those blocks. And we're going to play a little bit with the legs here, setting up our foundation. So rather than coming into a Sukhasana or a crisscross applesauce, unless the next version is not comfortable for you, You're welcome to stay here, tipping the pelvis forward, drawing the knees down, lifting up through the spine. If you'd like to go a little deeper into this, separate the legs slightly, draw the inner foot further in towards the groin, and then stack one in front of the other leg. So this is Siddhasana that we're coming to as opposed to Sukhasana. And you really want to tip the pelvis forward off the blocks. The knees then should start to come down and you almost find kind of a triangle space here. As you find this, so the outer sole of the foot should be stacked into the ankle of the inner foot here. All right, so the legs are pressing out and down, lifting up through the pelvis. As the legs support you here, you can lift up through the heart and imagine taking those shoulders nice and broad again, the way they were when you were stretched out on the ground. Lifting up through the heart, tuck that chin in and take a few breaths here. We're actually going to be working today on opening up the neck and the shoulders, finding some ease here in the neck and the shoulders. We are continuing through a turbulent time, whether COVID is dominating your thoughts, whether the Black Lives Matter movement and how to participate and where your part is in that, whether it's simply just family mechanics, family logistics. Let the breath deepen again. Feel the body relax. Just notice any sights, sounds. Notice the thoughts, the feeling of the wind, maybe perhaps moving across your body. Maybe you have a fan on in your room. Just becoming very aware of our body. Now, in this position, I shared with you what my hope was for class, but you have an intention that brought you to your mat. So go ahead and set your Sankalpa, your intention for your mat this morning. And as you find that intention, bring your hands together at your heart center, pressing the shoulders down and out away, shoulder blades coming together on the back, elbows lifting, friction between the palms. Gently bow the head, honoring that intention, checking in with the neck. First big check-in here, noticing how does it feel? And then inhale, lifting the head up, let the eyes flutter open and the hands come down around the knees. So we talk about tech neck a lot, that kind of mid position with the neck where most of us tend to hold our phones, right? Way too much time spent there. Even our computers are often somewhere there. And when we bring the neck even just slightly forward out of that position, we're taking 12 pounds and asking all these little muscles to handle that 12 pounds. They're not meant to do that for long periods of time. So we want to counteract that. So lifting up through the heart, drop the chin down towards the chest. Just feel that nice full stretch through the back of the neck, which feels a little counterintuitive because we were just talking about tech neck, but we want to release that midpoint hold and just let it come all the way down. Let the gravity of the head, the gravity pulling on the head, open up the back of that neck. When we have the neck in that tech neck position, we force the natural curves of the back to flatten out, causing other problems in our hips and thighs. And then inhale, lifting the head up and take the left ear over towards the left shoulder. Couple of breaths here, noticing, don't hike that left shoulder up to reach it. Keep the left shoulder down low and long, just stretching out the right side of the neck here. Bring the head back up to a neutral position and lift the chin up. Now don't throw the head back. Gently take it back until gravity takes hold of it. Just letting it dangle here. You can do this off the edge of a bed and it's great for your neck. And then inhale back up, coming to a neutral position. Drop that right ear over towards the right shoulder. Feeling a nice big stretch. And then inhale, lifting the head back up. Look over your right shoulder and notice if that activates anything in the neck or if it feels good. Come back to the center and then look over the left shoulder. Try not to move the shoulders to achieve this position, just turning the neck and the head. And then come back through center. Draw your left hand behind you. You can press it into the ground. This is why I wanted you to have a little elevation here. Take the right hand, rotating the thumb down, reach behind you, bending the elbow, and clasp the upper arm, the bicep, on the left arm. Now, if you can pitch forward on your knees, you can lift the left fingers up off the mat. Draw that left arm, pulling through the right fingertips. Draw that left shoulder onto the back a little further. So this is the motion when we're in a bridge pose, and I invite you to roll the shoulders under. This is what you're trying to get to, this feeling of that left shoulder blade really engaging behind the back body. So if you have always wondered, what the heck is she talking about? We'll do that a little bit later in class, and we'll practice that. Release that left shoulder, let it come forward again, and then draw the right arm behind you, press the fingers into the ground, and use that to rotate that right shoulder back and open. Then take that left arm out, reach back, bend the elbow, grasp up high on the right arm. I always like to check when I get a message to make sure it's not one of you saying, what the heck's going on? Nope. And as you gently pull that right shoulder back and into the midline of the body, release the fingers from the floor so the hands can move freely. Just feel that right shoulder opening up. And then release both those shoulders. If we activated anything, do a few quick shoulder rolls here. We women tend to carry our purses way too heavy and always on the same side, left or right. And that can cause a lot of problems with the scalene muscles here. All right, rock forward. Notice I didn't make you change your legs because that's annoying and we're not playing with legs too much today. Take your blocks off to the side of your mat. Find your tabletop position. And then stretch your left leg out long, digging the toes into the mat. And as you exhale, press back for a little calf stretch here. And then inhale, shifting the weight back over the wrists. Press the left hand down into the mat and twist up to the right. Keep those left toes stretched into the mat, lifting and stretching through the left thigh. And then exhale and dive down, threading your needle, bringing your the right side of your head down evenly on the mat. So my head again is a little funny, trying to make room for my earbud. Your left hand is going to come to fingertip tenting, left elbow towards the sky. Now keep your left toes dug into the ground and stretch through that left leg. Beautiful. Pull the belly button in towards the spine. Press the right fingertips down and the right shoulder down, and take that left arm up into the air. Yeah, left arm up into the air. Keep the toes down if you can for right now, because we're going to focus on the shoulder. Flip the palm behind you, and then begin to draw the shoulder back behind you, trying to find maybe the back of the hand finds the back of the right hip or the kidney. Maybe it can curl around and find that hip crease. Now take a breath and find stability here by pressing through the left leg, countering the pull of the left arm, opening the left shoulder. Feel free here if you would like to begin to play with the legs, but not necessary. You're welcome to stay right here, dug in, and we'll take just a breath or two more. And when you're ready, the toes come down if you lifted, the arm unwinds and rotates, and the hands come back to the ground. Open this twist back up to the right. Nice big inhale here, and then bring the right hand back down to the mat. Beautiful. Press the toes together. Take the knees wide. Exhale the hips down and find a nice deep child's pose. Stretch through the fingers here. Feel those intercostals now stretching the other way. Come up onto the fingertips and notice if your pecs even can feel this in between the chest and the armpits as you stretch. We were stretching them one way when we were in our opening position, and now we're working them another way here. Take a big deep breath in and out. Sink those hips lower, and then walk the hands off to the right side of the mat. Keep the body low to the ground, hips pulling back, left hip especially here.
And then walk the hands back to the center of the mat. Stretch and walk off to the left side of the mat. Keep pulling that right hip back and down, pressing the shoulders towards the mat, and then come back to the center of your mat. Inhale, lifting up into your tabletop position. Take your hands out in front of you, pressing the palms flat, keeping the hips lifted high. Drop the chest down, trying to bring the arms into contact with the mat. This is puppy pose. Now, if you can get down here and get your forehead on the mat, excuse me, lift the head and see if you can drop the chin onto the mat. It's a huge shoulder opener. Keep those hips lifted. Take one more breath here. And then inhale, lifting up. Walk the hands back in. Press back onto the heels, sitting in Vajrasana. And then bring your blocks back in. We're going to set our blocks up so that they're about shoulder height. Shoulder distance, excuse me, not shoulder height. That's different. And then bring the left elbow down onto the left block, the right elbow down onto the right block. We're going to add a tricep stretch here. Bring the hands together. You can either press them into each other to bring energy into the shoulders or clasp them, whichever works better for you. Coming back into that puppy dog pose, drop first the forehead down towards the ground, bringing the nose and the forehead flat. The hands rotate back behind the head, trying to bring the thumb to that area in between the shoulder blades. Big tricep opener here. If you would like to deepen this, you're always welcome to walk those triceps further out on the block. Dropping the chest towards the ground, hips and rear lifted. Now to come out of this pose, stretch those arms in front of you, rotate the palms down towards the ground, come to the fingertips. Inhale, pressing into the fingertips and lift back up. Walk the hands back in and take the blocks off to the side of your mat. With the hands down on the mat, draw your right leg forward, coming into a low lunge pose. Dig the left toes in and stretch them back so that the left leg is a little further extended back. Inhale up and find a nice neutral low lunge here. Cactus those arms, bringing them down so that they're parallel to the ground. Tray the hands, lift the heart, little tiny back bend. Remember to keep squeezing those legs towards each other. Inhale, bringing everything back to neutral. Clasp the hands up above your head. And then exhale, hands down to the heart center, bringing them to prayer. Inhale up through the spine, drop the right hand to the outside of the right thigh, and press to twist right. Reach out as though you're trying to shake someone's hand across your right knee, and then draw that left elbow as far over the knee as you can. Stack the palms. Now think about your prayer that we started at the beginning of class. Can you draw the elbows so that they are up in one straight line? Pull the belly button through to the right. Breathe. With your next inhale, pressing the feet firmly into the ground, lift back up into a prayer. And then exhale the hands down for stability and grab one of your blocks, bringing it to the outside of your right foot. Inhale back up to a neutral low lunge, hands on the knee. We're going to see if we can get this deep enough to open our twist up. Bring your hands back to your heart center. And then slide that right hand down to the right thigh. As you press in on the right knee, twist to the right, really using that leverage. Get the twist as deep as you can. Stretch that left arm out, stretching those intercostal muscles. And then see if you can bring the hand down to the block. Find the position. You want the left elbow to be to the outside of the right knee. And you bring the hand down on top of the block. Using that leverage and pulling the belly through, now see if you can stack your arms and reach that right arm up. Just deepening that twist a bit. Bring the right hand back down to the right thigh. Just lift up here. Bring the hands down and take the block off to the right side of your mat. Stretch the left leg out for a brief little runner's stretch. And then step into the right foot, draw the left foot up next to it, step back with the right foot, find your runner's lunge on this side. Draw that right knee down, making certain that we've taken it back slightly also so that we've got that deep incline. Inhale, stretch up, finding a nice neutral low lunge. Cactus those arms. Inhale up, trade hands and heart, lift up. Come back to a neutral low lunge. Draw the hands down to the heart center. Bring that left hand to the outside of the left thigh and press into that thigh to help you twist. Then reach across that left knee with the right hand. Hello there, neighbor. Draw that elbow over. Now notice, compared you did the other side, so you know, is your elbow already pretty set up for the opening or not? Stretch the palms onto each other and then lift up one straight line. So you really have to pull that belly button through to the left. With your next breath, squeeze those legs together for stability and draw back up here to a neutral lunge. We're going to bring one hand down to the mat to grab our block, placing that block to the outside of the foot and see if we can deepen this again. So inhale up, hands on the knee. Bring the hands up to prayer twist once you're stable, or sorry, prayer is what I want to say. And then left hand goes to the outside of that left thigh. Really crank that left thigh in, stamping the left foot down into the ground. Reach out and across, slide the hand down, finding the block. So we want the right elbow to be in line with that right knee so they can push on each other for stability. Using that stability, we're going to pull the belly button through and then stack the arms. Pull from the back body for this twist. And then bring the hands back down. Take the block off the side of your mat. Frame your front foot, stretch back into that nice little runner's lunge. Step into the left foot and bring the right foot up next to it. Keep the knees bent here in this first forward fold. Just let the arms cascade towards the floor. Now, think of the belly trying to come onto the thighs. We actually want that to happen, I know. Pull the belly button up and see if you can fold further down, letting the belly come in contact with the thighs. I don't care, I don't want the legs straight yet, all right? Arms broad, shoulders broad. Let the head dangle, maybe nod the head, yes, no, yes, no. Shake the head. And then just let everything hang. Maybe your hands can come down flat to the mat now. And breathe. Grab opposite elbows and ragdoll, keeping the legs bent, belly and thighs in contact. And then let those hands drop down onto the mat. See if as you press the hands to the outside of the feet, can you start to straighten the legs just a little bit? And then exhale, bending back into the knees, hands come to the hips, elbows come skyward, rise all the way up. And exhale, hands to heart center. Beautiful, shake it all out. And we'll meet at the top of our mat. So if you need a drink, need anything. I know it's humid here, folks. So if you see us sweating, our apologies. I think we're both going to be sweating after this class. We'll meet back at the top of the mat. Feet hip distance apart. Finding all four corners and planting them in the mat. Draw the shins in and pull the thighs apart. Engage the glutes and lift them up in the air. And then counteract that by pulling the belly button in and up. Roll those shoulders apart. Take a moment to roll the right ear towards the right shoulder. Come back up to center and take left ear to left shoulder. Come back up to center. Draw the chin down to the chest. Come back up to center. Notice if the low body is shifting. Take the head back. Try to keep it still. Remember, the back will try to compensate for the neck. Reach that right arm around and behind you and see if you can find the left bicep. We did the seated, let's do it standing. Pull that left arm back behind you firmly. I'm drawing to the right with my right arm, pulling the left shoulder back. Try not to let the ribs pop out. Pull those ribs in. Keep the belly tucked in and up. Against this, take the left ear down towards the left shoulder. Lift the head back up to neutral and take the right ear over towards the right shoulder. Come back to neutral and switch those arms out. Left hand reaches behind you, finding that right bicep, curling the shoulder back, pulling the rib points down towards the hip points, opening the shoulders. Take a breath or two here. And then as you're ready, you can play with that neck. Just taking it gently from one side to the other. Again, noticing, don't let the low body compensate as you move. Release the arms. Take a nice big inhale, stretch the arms and the shoulders up. Exhale, hands to heart center. 2 more times. Inhale, nice big breath, reaching all the way up. Exhaling, hands to heart center. 1 more time. Inhale all the way up. Let's finish this one by bowing forward folding. You can keep the legs as straight or as bent as your legs are ready for here. Then inhale, come halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale and fold. Hands come to hips, pull those elbows together. Inhale, rise all the way up. Nice strong legs. Exhale, hands to heart center. 1 more, inhale all the way up. I lied, it's 1 more after this. Exhale, hands to heart center. And then 1 more time. Inhale all the way up. Let's finish our sun A. Dive all the way down to your forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale and fold. Bend your knees, plant your hands, and float back, finding your plank. Take a big breath in and out here in this plank, and then exhale to your chaturanga. Finally, come all the way down, stretch the legs out. Inhale, press up, baby cobra. Exhale, coming down, tuck those toes either through table or reverse your plank back up to down dog. Take a few breaths here, walking this dog out, shifting the hips back and forth, doing whatever feels good to you to get comfortable here. Still your down dog. Look at your foundation. Make certain you have nice big fingers. Hands pulling in towards each other, elbows pressing apart and away from you, lifting the hips up, bend the knees, press the sit bones towards the sky, press the mat further away so that your butt goes higher, keeping all that in the top body, stretch the heels towards the ground. Look forward, bend the knees and journey up to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway up when you arrive, exhale and fold. Inhale, stretch all the way up, and exhale, hands to heart center. Beautiful. We're going to do a sun A interrupted. So inhale all the way up, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway, exhale and fold. Plant your hands, step or hop back, finding your plank. Exhale, chaturanga, hover for a moment, and then come all the way down. Stretch those arms out long on the floor, chin down on the mat. Bring the left hand in, fingertip. Press the right hand into the ground, and as you lift, press the left hip up in the air. Now you can just roll up for this little shoulder opener, or you can lift the left leg up and over, bend the knee, and reach back. Don't worry, some of you that were with me for the Wild Thing class, we are not going there today. And breathe. Now I know Allie likes to lay her head down here. Her neck is open enough. Susan and I generally find we need to keep the head lifted. So play with your neck and just notice, do I have the mobility to gently let the head lay on the ground? If so, release the tension in the neck and let it rest there. 1 more big breath in and out. And then roll back to the center position. Stretch that left arm out, come to fingertip on the right side, and then press that right hip up in the air, rolling, keeping the left shoulder down. We're rolling onto that left side. You can stay here and play with the head here, or if you'd like to deepen it for the back, the low body, lift that right leg up over, finding the floor with the right foot, and then taking a moment to see, can your head stretch to the ground, and can you lift it? As you rest here in this stretch, again, notice, do you feel the fan in the room? Is the room quiet, or are there noises that you can hear? Still the head. If you were playing with that, lift that right leg up, stack the legs, and then come back into the center. Stretch both arms out long for one moment. Relax the shoulders. Can you feel the tops of both shoulders coming down towards the floor, the fronts of those shoulders, the heads? Draw the arms back in as though you were coming to fingertip cobra. So they'll be in line with the shoulders. The fingers will be tented, and then roll the shoulders back up towards the sky. Keep the head down low and lift up. Keep the head nice and low here. And then exhale, coming back down flat on the ground. Again, press the fingers into the ground. Lift the shoulders up, but let the head dangle. One more time, releasing down, relaxing that neck. Roll the shoulders up towards the sky and let that lift you. Then let the head just rest, dangle. Exhale, coming back down, resting those shoulders for one breath. And then we'll press up into a more traditional fingertip cobra. So press the toes into the ground, lift the kneecaps, press the pelvis, lift the shoulders, lift the head in line with the spine. Look over to the right. Come back to the center. Look over to the left. Come back to the center and come down. Bring the hands back in line with the rib cage. Tuck those toes. And again, either reverse your plank or press through table to your down dog. Taking a couple of breaths here, stretching out. Focusing on lengthening that center line, the sides of the body, all the way through. Lift on an inhale, your right leg, stretching it up. Bend that right knee. Let's add a little twist here, three-legged dog with a twist. Lift that right knee up, and as you do that, try to draw the left heel down. Keep pulling that left shoulder forward towards the front of the mat. Square the hips off, stretch the leg out, just three-legged dog, and then drop the right leg down by the left. Take a breath here if you need to, and when you're ready on an inhale, we'll stretch the left leg up. Bend that knee, lift the knee up towards the sky, and press the right heel towards the floor. The shoulders are going to want to torque, so pull that right shoulder forward. Square the hips off, stretch the left leg out, and then bring it back down by the right. Bend the knees, look forward, and journey up to the front of your mat. Inhale, halfway up for Ardha. Exhale and fold. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, hands to heart center. Let the hands come down by the hips and notice, how are those shoulders feeling now? Hopefully they're starting to feel pretty open for you. Grasp your strap, and we're going to add another little rotation here. My hair is going crazy with the humidity. I like to fold the strap in half just because it feels a little more substantial and secure for me in this, with the palms facing the hips and the strap down low by the hips. Let me step back a step. Build your mountain pose in the low body. So feel all four corners of the feet, draw the shins in, pull the thighs out, lift up through the glutes, counter that through the abs, roll the shoulders back and down. Then lift the strap up and bursting that strap apart, rotate the shoulders up above the head. Don't let the back stretch. Keep the back in line. You might find you want to take your arms a little further apart. Start to rotate that strap back and see, can you do it without bending the elbows? Just go to where you can go without bending your elbows. And then rotate back up and bring the strap back down by the hips. Do that one more time. Stretching it up. Resist the urge to let it release. Keep it stretched apart. Rotating up and stretching back and down. Inhale the strap back up, and then bring the strap all the way down. Beautiful. Feed that strap behind you, and now we want to have the palms facing away from our hips, and for the straps to be just a little bit wider than our hips. As you press down through the feet with the feet hip distance apart, we're going to forward fold. Keep the strap in line with the glutes here as you come first just halfway down, and then pull the belly up and exhale all the way down. Pull the belly up and in and see if you can release further down. Now start to lift those straps up, rotating them over your head. If you've got a buddy, you can take turns pulling gently those straps forward. Be very gentle here. When you feel like, okay, I've reached maximum stretchage, can we get out of this? Bring the straps first to the hips. Use that leverage to lift you back up. And then take the straps off and set them to the side of your mat. Beautiful. Inhale, sweeping all the way up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, plant your hands. Now step straight back to a down dog. We're going to add a little core work in here. Some of you love this, some of you do not. I'm going to ask you to resist the urge to go fast. Go slowly here. Begin to walk the hands back towards the heels, coming into a forward fold at the back of your mat. Now, if your hamstrings and your hands don't like that, come out of position and grab your blocks. We're going to do this a few times, so we want you to be comfortable as we work that core. Now, some of you are thinking, how the heck is this working my core? As we walk forward and back in this inchworm, I want you to think of pulling in with the core to lift the hips to give you the space to move. All right, so hands on blocks or fingertips. Start to walk forward, pull that belly up and in until you are stretched out into your down dog. Lift those hips, pull in that belly, press the heels towards the floor. And then behind the breath, pull the belly in to lift the hips up. Start to walk the hands back by the feet. Take a breath here in your Ardha. And then one more time, we'll walk those hands forward, stretching out. Press into your nice deep down dog. Pull up through the core of the body, breathing into the back, pulling the belly up and in. And then start to walk those hands back to a forward fold at the back of your mat, releasing the head towards the floor. If you were using blocks, you might be able to take them off to the side. If your fingers still don't want to touch, keep the blocks. Grasp opposite elbows and ragdoll the body back and forth. Can you, keeping a big enough bend in those knees, get your head down in line with your arms as you dangle here? You want to window frame the head. Let the fingertips drop down to the mat. Pop the right knee so the left leg goes straight. Think walking the dog. That's the action here. And then walk the fingertips off to the right side of the right foot. Pull that left hip back. This is a lot like that child's pose stretch we did. Pretty intense down the left side of the body. Kent wants to see what it feels like to walk the other way. So keep the right knee popped and walk the fingers off to the left side. You can do it. Yeah, he said that's a lot easier. And then straighten that right leg out. Now pop the left knee. And we'll go first off to the left side, taking the fingers off to the left side of the left foot. Pull those hips back in line with each other. Big, it's a twist here. And then come back through the center. If you want to feel it on the other side like Kent did, then go ahead and walk the fingers off to the right. Come back so that you're all lined up, legs are straight, body is dropped down towards the ground. Walk the hands out, finding your down dog. And pressing through the down dog, take 2 breaths. The end of the second breath, look forward, bend the knees, step or hop, making your way up to the front of your mat. Inhale, halfway up for Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale and fold. Inhale, sweep the eyes and the arms all the way up. And exhale, hands down to heart center. Beautiful. We're going to add all this together, and I wanted to show you where we were headed because we're going to put together the shoulder opener we did on the blocks and our down dogs and the core work that we just did to get to dolphin pose. So you can do dolphin if you prefer. If you have a hard time keeping your hands stabilized on the mat, you can bring a block here and you can karate chop that block and then press it into the ground in order to engage the shoulders. Notice my butt, I need to keep my butt lifted, and I'm going to tuck my toes. From here, I'm going to draw the arms back towards my hips, getting a lot of action there, and then dig my toes in, lift my butt up, and press my head back like we do in our down dog pose. All right. If you do not like the block, feel free to simply clasp the hands. Now we're going to pull the elbows towards each other, dig the toes in, lift the hips up, and press back. So you go ahead, play with your variation. If this is easy for you, then I want you to begin to walk the feet in towards the shoulders. Try to keep the shoulders above the elbows and don't let them move. If this is not easy for you, then just keep pressing up into the dolphin pose and taking a break. So few breaths up, few breaths down. Beautiful. No, you can always go to a child's pose to release those shoulders. Elise, that looks really nice. So can you walk your feet in? Yeah, nice. The knees can be bent. If you're working on walking in, that's okay. The knees can be bent. All right, in this dolphin pose, what we're starting to do is get the feeling of stacking shoulders and hips. If we were in the studio, I would have you do it on a wall. So something to look forward to as we move into phase 4. Take just a few more minutes here to play with your dolphin pose. How are we doing? Those of you that have your cameras open, I can tell when you're all done. If everybody's either in child's pose or looking up at me, we'll move on. All right, grab a drink if you need it before we move on. But don't drink too much because we're going down onto our tummies. That's always fun when the teacher tells you grab a drink and then you do like full wheel. All right, so stretch out here, find your plank. How am I doing on time? Ken says he thinks it's Shavasana time. Stretched out in your plank. Do a nice deep chaturanga and hold. We're going to do a slow low down to our belly. Stretch through the legs and plant the toenails into the ground. Stretch those arms by your side. Roll the shoulders back and up and lift just the heart and the chest for locust. Toes still pressing down into the ground. Exhale, release. Remember, we're using the core here as well as the back body. So on this next one, lift and curl and then draw the feet up. Are your thighs up off the ground? If not, can you focus on pulling the backs of the thighs up? And then release, coming all the way down. Draw the hands to the sacrum, roll the shoulders back, clasping the hands. Now, as you lift through the shoulders, stretch those arms back and reach for your feet. Coming up into locust. Hold your locust, release the arms, rotate them out in front of you, and then exhale, coming all the way down to the mat. Bring the hands back by your rib cage. Tuck your toes, press up through a table, and press to a seated position. From this seated position, grab your strap and make certain that you've got some space on either side of your mat. For those of you that are learning your Sanskrit or have your Sanskrit, we're headed to Supta Asta Padangustasana. So Supta means we're going to be on our back. Asta means something stretched out. And Padangustasana means it has to do with our foot. Remember, everything always ends in asana, meaning it's a pose. So stretch the legs out, having the strap handy, maybe even here on your belly. And just feel the shoulders, let the legs relax, and notice how their shoulders are nice and open and if they'll easily float down towards the mat. Take a breath, and if you need to, readjust the arms. Pull the belly button in towards the spine And then draw both knees in towards the chest, grasping the shins, flattening the sacrum, flattening the back. Pull those knees in nice and tight. Inhale, lifting the forehead up. And then exhale, releasing the head back down to the mat. Stretch the left leg out long as you draw the right knee in close to the chest. You can hover that foot, the left foot, if you want to work a little bit more on abs here. Feel free to work on the stretch through the groin, though, by bringing the left heel to the floor, right knee deeply into the chest. Breath or two here. And then draw both legs back into the chest. Switch, gripping that left knee, pulling it in tight, stretching that right leg out. You'll feel that cross stretch through the groin. You decide, are you hovering that right leg, adding in some ab work here, or simply working on the cross body stretch by pressing through the right heel as it rests on the ground, drawing the left knee in closer to the body. The end of your next breath, take your strap and place it around the arch of the left foot. I like to keep it down close to the heel in line with my leg bones. So when I stretch the leg up, my strap is pulling the bones in alignment down through the hip, grounding that left hip down. Put the straps in the left hand, and I like to stretch the right arm out here. You're always welcome to bring a weight or to press your right hand on the right thigh or the right hip. Pull the belly button in towards the floor, press up through the heel, straightening the leg a little bit. Take a breath or two here, just letting that left leg get heavy and long. And then using muscular control, nice and slowly, exhale, take that left leg out. Don't let momentum just sweep it out. One, you can pull something in your groin. And two, you're depriving yourself of the muscular action. I almost heard a snarky comment from John right there. I'm not sure. Breathe here. Keep pulling that right rib cage down towards the floor. Don't let the body roll. And then inhale that left up, just to crossing the center line, and switch the strap hands out. Left hand goes out long and push through the left heel. Then draw the left hip back towards the floor. So you're lengthening this left side body. You may find that leg does not move anymore now. Try to keep that left hip in engagement with the floor. Don't take the roll as you take the left leg over towards the right side body. Really deep stretch on the outer left leg. Now, once you've gotten all you can here, if you want the deeper roll, to add the twist through the body, go ahead and roll to that right hip, pressing out through the left leg. Don't let it just drop to the floor. Breath or two here. And then lift that left leg up, bend the knee, take the strap off, stretch the leg out and bounce it a bit. You guys know that's my favorite part. Draw that right knee in towards the chest and take the strap up. Again, the closer to the heel you are, the more you'll be lining up as you pull the leg down, all of the bones. Strap stays in the right hand, and we're going to focus for a moment on grounding through the body, pulling that right hip down as we extend through the right heel. Sorry, hon. Left arm goes straight out or press down on the thigh or the hip. Slowly exhale and take that right leg out to the right side. Think of pulling the left rib cage down to the floor to help keep you balanced. Both feet are flexed here. And then inhale, stretch the right leg up towards the sky. Take it just past the midline of the body. Switch the strap hands out. Now push through the right heel, lengthening that leg, and then draw the right hip back and down towards the ground. See if you can keep that right hip grounding towards the ground as you take the right leg cross body. Get as far over as that leg will let you go while you're pushing that right hip down, trying to ground it. And then if you want an additional twist, you can go ahead and stretch through that right leg going further. as you're ready, draw that right leg back towards the sky. Bend the knee, taking the strap off, stretch both legs out briefly. And then draw the knees up into the chest, spread the knees wider than the rib cage, flex the feet, and begin to stack the ankles over the knees, sacrum flat. If that means you're just holding on to the outside of your legs, you're in happy baby, that's cool. I'm good with that. If you want to go a little deeper, keep the legs stacked this way. Draw the elbows to the insides of the knees and the arms cross the shins, hands come to the outside. And we gently pull the legs down towards the ground, nice flat back, flat sacrum. Breathing deeply. Now for some of you, this is easy. And if you'd like to go further, I'm going to offer you a variation. We have not done a lot to stretch out the low body, so if this is not super easy for you, please don't go any further. Just play with happy baby. You can grasp, if you want to go further, grasp the big toes, and one leg at a time, begin to stretch and straighten your legs. If that feels okay and you want to stretch all the way, that's fine too. Now, those of you that are in traditional or half happy baby can just draw the legs back in towards the chest and rock to seated. Those of us that have the legs out in a V, we're going to try to use the core of the body and see if we can rock up. I can't do it today. To a seated position. There you go. It takes a little bit more, especially if you don't slam those heels into the ground. All right. From here, we're all going to draw the feet into Baddha Konasana. Take a nice deep breath in, and we're going to reverse that. See if you can grab your toes and rock back. Now, some of us are going to stay here and just hold the toes in and try to lift the heart. Or you can see for Kent, the toes aren't accessible, so he's holding the shins. You might, if the shins, if that's not working, see if you can hook the arms and stay here. If you've got hold of your toes, we're going to play with a variation of that happy baby rock we just did. Take one leg out. Yep, Elisa's got it. Take the other leg out. And then maybe both legs stretch out. Now the challenge here, can you rock without slamming the heels into the ground? Can you use your core and come down? Yeah, beautiful. Take a nice big breath up, and we'll all draw the knees back into the center of the mat and meet there. Come all the way down onto your back. Do a brief little bridge pose here, just to counteract those shoulders, all that shoulder work we did. Pull the heels in towards the hips. Scoot the hips in so you can perhaps touch the heels, so you're in nice and tight. Tuck the elbow or tuck the shoulder. So lift the left shoulder and slide the shoulder blade under you. Lay that shoulder flat. Roll the right shoulder up and tuck the shoulder blade under you, and then lay flat on both the shoulder blades. If you haven't already bent your arms, do so now. And the backs of the arms into the ground and lift the hips up. Nice big breath. We did in our locust, hands come underneath the heart, or underneath the butt, excuse me, and we press the heels and the hands towards each other to rock those shoulders deeply underneath us. Lifting up through the heart, up through the hips, squeezing the knees. Gently unclasp the hands, let the shoulders slide apart, hips drop down. From here, if you would like to take that reclined, that supported fish that we started with in the beginning, feel free to roll to your side and press up, getting your block situated again. If you prefer a simple traditional corpse pose, go there. Some of you may even feel like waterfall would feel good. Going back to your bridge and placing a block underneath your sacrum, lifting the legs up towards the sky. So find the Shavasana pose that feels good for you. Susan noted, and I agree, it's hard to do these nice, juicy, long Shavasanas when we're on Zoom without getting antsy. So you are going to have a shorter Shavasana. If it's too short, please feel free at the end of class to turn off and leave the class and to find your position again and relax. Take a few moments here, letting the shoulders rest, whichever position you chose. Let the breath deepen.
And again, go back to that sound in your mind, seeing your thoughts as waves, letting your breath calm those waves down. Take a nice full deep breath in, and then drop your jaw and exhale completely and fully. As you become more aware of your breath, let it just return to a nice normal deep breath pattern, and begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. If your legs are stretched out, bring the feet in line with the hips, knees bent, and then gently roll off of any bolsters or pillows you're on, coming to your side, coming to that fetal position we were at in the beginning of class. Take 1 to 2 nice deep breaths in and breathing that back body, feeling those back ribs moving in and out. And then using your upper hand, your upper leg, reach down towards the floor, pressing back up, finding an easy seated position. Hands at your heart center, eyes softly closed. I always like to offer you something to take off of your mat. And today I'd like to share with you something I actually saw from Elephant Journal on Instagram. And I thought it was great because I know we've been joking at the studio as we try to navigate these phases that we should just cancel 2020. And this article says, what if 2020 isn't canceled? What if 2020 is the year we've actually been waiting for? A year so uncomfortable, so painful, so scary, so raw, that it finally forces us to grow. A year that screams so loud, finally awakening us from our ignorant slumber. A year we finally accept the need for changes. Dedicate to change. Work for change. Become the change. A year we finally band together instead of pushing each other apart. 2020 isn't canceled, but rather the most important year of them all. I'd like to thank each and every one of you that show up on these Zoom classes regularly, our pop-up classes that take our on-demand classes, the emails we've gotten, the interaction on social media. You've made this 2020 a year that has actually made us realize how much this community is worth fighting for. I want to thank you so much for your support and for your part in our Kula. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Hope you're feeling nice and flowy.
That was beautiful, Sandy.
I read that and it made me start to tear up even now. I thought that's a pretty cool way to look at it, right?
That is a cool way to look at it. Can you hear me, Sandy?
Yeah.
Where did you get that from?
It was on Instagram. There's I think it's a person, but he goes by Elephant Journal.